Hi there! For most of you that are watching, you might be asking, what is AMITY? Well, a quick definition. AMITY is a noun that is used for friendship, a peaceful harmony and mutual understanding for a peaceful relationship. You see, consultants in the construction field have always been pushing the boundaries and the odds to redefine what is average to the human eye. So, to think what is impossible, possible. We have been redefining architecture in ways that baffle others, creating a big question to how things are done. This building was shown to me in one of my lectures, and gosh, what astonished me the most is how could it even support a form that unique and stay up? How was the architects able to convince their clients to be able to agree with such a bold design? You see, this is redefining in terms of its form. This, the Metropole Parasol, it serves a very ordinary everyday function that we all have somehow just heard somewhere. But then the design and the use of materials became that statement. You see, here shows how we redefine architecture in terms of its creativity in using the materials. And it's not just in modern day architecture that we see all this. Okay? It has been around with us for centuries. Our early pioneers of architecture and engineers need to be given some credit too. The Colosseum, built in 70 to 80 AD and still stands till this day. My first year lecturer once told our class, the most satisfying moment in my life as an architect is to know that the buildings that I have designed and seen constructed from the ground are still standing and in use till today. That is the most rewarding thing any architect could feel. So let me pop the real question. What else is there to redefine? Biomimicry has already been introduced, green energy, sustainable design, new construction methods, technologies that assist in the entire process of construction. So let me ask you again, what else is there to be redefined? Now before I could even begin to tell you about this thought I have in my head, I need to make something clear. The challenge was to talk about redefining architecture based on my perception or how I was brought up. So to allow you to understand what I'm going to be telling you next, I think it's best if I give you a run through about my life. So I was born on the 25th of September 1997, raised in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. Indian father and a Sino-Kadazan mom, eldest among 3 siblings. I wasn't the brightest kid, I admit, but I consider myself a slow learner as well. I didn't do well for UPSR, but managed to get away with till STPM. I was active back in high school. State public speaker, debater, drama director till nationals, head of prefect, head of everything lah basically. After SPM, I joined an active theatre group called Greenleaf Theatre House to expand my passion for acting and directing because I just love spreading that message to the audience. This was the first show I acted in. It was my first time acting a major role. The title was Natagak Om Yumon, which means lost and finding. A story that portrays friendship and highlights the issues that happened during the Sulu intrusion in Sabah back then. Besides that, I got my first camera when I was 15. Always had an interest with photography, so I experimented with my camera a lot in many ways. Brought them to theatre shows and trying to capture moments. The thing that made me love photography was the short moment in time. You were able to capture a glimpse, a stare, a gaze, a hint of emotion. I would waste an entire Sunday just to walk around a Sunday market, to just see what candid moments I could snap and to add to my collection. I slowly grew from theatre, photography, to filmmaking, from shooting in black and white to color and portraits, landscapes. Basically, I've tried almost everything. See, I translated all these is for my passion in art. I love drawing, I love sketching as well. I had a very artsy life back then. Now comes the big idea I had. How does my life before I came into architecture field inspires me today? And then it hit me. All my life, I've been going about with emotions. See, how drama and theatre teaches me to convey those emotions. And how public speaking and debate requires me to manipulate those emotions. And how photography and filmmaking makes me to convey that emotion in a way that the audience could see it visually. So far, after being in architecture school for about a year, I'd admit my knowledge isn't that good yet. But I have to say, the challenges that our studio masters gave us were pretty interesting. But then again, I always had that constant challenge for myself, which is to make sure that my design had that wow factor. And I wanted a wow factor, not meaning to say it's just someone being like, oh wow, that's pretty nice. No, I wanted a wow factor that would be like, wow, how did this guy think of putting that with this? I mean, how? I want that kind of wow factor. I want a conversation, yes, a conversation. And from that conversation, it creates an emotional link or a connection. This may sound a little far-fetched, but isn't this what we're doing involuntarily? I mean, we architects don't just design, okay? We are the creators of space and form, and we create this vision for others. We design for someone else, and we design something that protects them in the same way, keeps them safe. We ensure the space that we have planned is comfortable and suitable for the situation. Now I ask, what if an architect could design a structure that somehow creates this social connection? To those of you who are still a bit lost about this idea I have in my head, let me give you an example. Now, what are the basic design elements? Color, composition, lighting, and ventilation. We take into consideration of the natural lightings and the artificial lighting based on what kind of space we are intending to create. A large playroom would be nice to have a lot of natural light into it, but a very calming and intimate setting might only require some dim lights to set the mood. There, mood is also a feeling, changing the atmosphere to meet the emotions we would like to feel, calmness and peacefulness. Colors also play those roles, and changing the depth of perception towards a room, making it feel cooler or larger, or small or hotter. The manipulation of these elements in our design help give better comfort and set the mood for others. So as you can see, we have been doing it all the while, but we just never really pointed it out. So what is my point about all this? Well, imagine this. What if we could create an environment that is suitable to initiate a simple connection among strangers? I mean, what if we could design or create a design that is a conversation starter? What if an architect could be the bridge between broken communities? What if we could be the spark towards humanity? There's a lot of what ifs, I'd agree, but that's because it's never been done or it's never been researched deeply. I mean, I myself is trying to figure this out. But today, my mission is to tell you about this abstract concept I have in my head and my heart. I'd like to share this with you, this exploration to further defy architecture together as a booming industry. After all, we are recognized for our works. Architects don't design for architects. We design for the people, not just making a roof over their heads. I believe architects aren't just designers. I believe that there is a deeper value towards our works and a greater purpose. And who knows? Architects could even be the bringers of peace.